So basically, light and architecture are like two partners in a marriage. The only problem with it is that divorce is not an option, because without light, no piece of architecture has any value. And as Khan said, that shadow belongs to light. So what actually happens is that there are three variables: light, shade, and shadow, which is in the palette of both an architect and an architectural photographer, where the plane that gets the direct light remains, of course, white, and the planes that do not get the light is either in shade or in deep shadow. And this is the three variables that one uses both in the design as an architect as well as when you capture the building. So a two-dimensional photograph can come to life in three dimensions by the use of these three variables, where you get the entire depth and perspective based on the three variables of light, shade, and shadow. And the sort of framing of views is often done with that, where one aspect is in darkness. For example, both these images have a dark foreground, which brings the focus onto the lit portion, which is in the back, and is it used typically by most architects when designing a building. And of course, through history, there are many examples, and especially with the Indian sun being what it is, very sharp. Architects had to find ways to soften that sharp sun on building surfaces. So shadow, texture, all became very critical. So how do you tackle the sharp sun? You can use it by introducing color, by introducing louvered shutters, chhajjas, courtyards, verandas, arcades. All these add the texture to what is otherwise a simple plane of a building. So you will find stone with texture, stone with carvings, small openings created in jharokas in Rajasthan. These are all through history and come back to the modern times, where we all have to use these facilities to get away from the monotony of a facade, which otherwise in the West you tend to see. It's all because of the very sharp sun and 12 hours of sunshine. Now we've all been told as photographers not to shoot against the light, but I find that like these two images of Hampi, it brings out you get the silhouette and you get the skeleton of the structure, negating the other aspects, but then you tend to see what exactly the building is made of, the bones. And we've used items like precast concrete elements, repeated columns, repeated, to create that drama and the play with light, shade, and shadow, to create that little bit of mystery that happens in all great buildings. Now, when it comes to light inside a building, it's a little different, because you don't play with shadow now. Now you're trying to capture natural light, how you can get that natural light into the building to make it into a happy space, a pleasant space and you're a participant in that. And again, churches, mosques, modern, this is actually the extension in Berlin of the parliament. I saw this wonderful example in Berlin in an underground station, a subway station many meters below the ground, where the architect brought a stainless steel tube with a mirror fixed at the top to bring in pools of light, and as you walked in the subway, you walked across these pools of light to give you an idea as to what's happening in the many meters above. In my own home in the hills, where you want light, yes, light is fine, but you need warmth. And in India, the bright sunshine that we bring into the house gives you not just temperature warmth, but a feeling of warmth. And that, I think, is a critical, that any space which brings in light, you feel happy and you feel nice and warm, even though the outside temperature may be 4 or 5 degrees. Light is also used for connecting spaces. Charles Correa's work in courtyards was one example, but atriums where you can connect many floors, how do you bring skylight from the top. These are many ways that we've used light in buildings, and of course as photographers, how do you capture that. Jeffrey Baba's hotel in Kandarama in Sri Lanka, where the tone, the curved walls take the tone of the light and then focus you onto right at the end where the entrance is. So, including the Humayun's tomb and the archway that you see on the left of the picture. Again, focuses on what's beyond the arcade. Now, this is an interesting thing about time. Light changes with time. The picture above is taken during the day. We walked up the ramp and the light was beautiful coming in through the glass. Fortunately, we were there quite late, and when dusk came along, it became the reverse. The light was outside, and the skeleton of the building actually frame the views on the outside. So I played with this a bit in my own work, and this is an auditorium on the right side of the photograph. It's a simulated skylight. It's not really a skylight, but we did an LED light with a screen which changes color, so you can actually feel that it's dusk at some time. And again, you bring the feeling of natural light into a building itself. Now at night it changes completely. The two pictures are of the same building. The left shows the full building. On the right, note the difference. Light is now not coming from the top, but it's coming from below. So invariably, and around us you can see that as well, when it's bottom lit, it changes the way we perceive a building. The shadows are different, it lights the soffits, etc. Reflection is something which in water is, shall I say, a tool that we all use, both as photographers as well as architects. You get the drama, the ripples, the different colored lights, and brings out the building. A colonnade of, I think, in Jasbir. And finally, sometimes the light becomes the architecture itself. What is a very mundane building, the ITC building in Colombo, at night suddenly transformed with these stripes, and you can see it from a kilometer away, it becomes a beacon. Or the Eros building in Churchgate in Bombay, where the Art Nouveau features are just lit individually. During the daytime, there's not much of a building. Sometimes the light fixture itself becomes architecture. On one on the left side is just light fitting, but it becomes a square, which doesn't exist in the daytime. And on the right is, you pick up a certain aspect of the building and say, okay, let's just feature that. So that triangle becomes the main feature of the building. So this is just some of the things I wanted to share with you of how I've tackled light and architecture, and I hope I've given you a glimpse of that. Thank you so much.